Issue 74. We start out with Sonic, Johnny, and Amy in Metropolis, with Johnny not being happy about the risk. Sonic says the rumor has it that Brutus went missing and Eggman can't cope with the reduced manpower. Really? With the hundreds of thousands of robots he has? He just got Brutus. He's already that dependent on him? Amy says that because of this, she can take advantage of the situation and sabotage Eggman's plans. Johnny then hopes it works in some more clumsy foreshadowing to something bad happening. You know what I learned a few days ago from watching briefly a kid's cartoon is that a way to do foreshadowing good is to foreshadow both possibilities so that you feel like it could go either way. Sonic gets put in a spotlight and they get attacked by badniks, Sonic being happy about it because he was getting bored anyways. Sonic says maybe his spin dash will defeat the robots, and it says sarcastically, "Oh, what a surprise, it worked!" Then he snarks, "Excuse my sarcasm, dudes, but couldn't you bozos give me a challenge and try something unexpected for once?" "You're jinxing it, Sonic." Predictably, that happens in the very next panel as Sonic gets punched in the back of the head and grabbed by a robot trooper. Tells Amy, surprisingly not knocked out, to run away as Johnny is also grabbed by a robot trooper. Sonic and Johnny are brought to Eggman, with Sonic snarking about how he's claiming victory for what his grunts did for him. An alarm goes off from an intruder, and out of nowhere, Sonic easily escapes a tight grip of the robot behind him, and Johnny gets away from the robot as well. This is just insulting. Sonic then destroys the robot troopers. Sonic whispers that their plan to intentionally let themselves get captured to create a diversion while Amy broke into the info center has succeeded. Because God forbid that be unintentional and Sonic in a moment of weakness to make a mistake, there's no indication that he was doing this on purpose. Although maybe it's better off that way to keep it a twist, considering how painfully obvious the comic always is with foreshadowing. Maybe it's better that stuff happens out of nowhere. It's fine as long as it at least makes sense instead of being completely nonsensical. Sonic says that Amy's probably wiping valuable info from Eggman's computers right now, and we see her accessing the details of Eggman's new weapons. She says that now she's going to press delete and cause Eggman a major setback, and then a robot grabs her before she can do it, which frustrates me because I got the impression that she just sat there and did nothing while saying that to brag, when she could have just deleted it immediately. She better get to actually do this after Sonic saves her. Eggman is told that Amy is captured and the info is safe, and his office's entrance gets blocked by lasers, causing him to say that he was going to escape through another entrance anyways. Fortunately, Amy gets to reach her bow and hit the delete button on the computer with an arrow. She also clearly causes damage to the computer afterwards, though. So wouldn't her arrow have destroyed the computer without saving the fact that she deleted the data, making what she did pointless? I'm hoping that's not the case, but if it is, that'll explain why we might not hear anything about this in the next issue. She could have easily just had her arrow hit the delete button and that's it, instead of the computer exploding instantly and potentially undoing what she did. Then Sonic destroys the robots, and the heroes leave the base on a flying machine. In the next story, Captain Plunder and his new crew that includes Simpson the Cat encounter a ghost ship of legend, which sends the flying ship falling. Unfortunately for them, coincidentally lands on the floating island. Meanwhile, Porker tells Knuckles he can't help him because he finds the ancient technology too complicated and incomprehensible. At least we have an engineer character have some limits. It's just hard for me to believe by now after so much time of seeing overpowered engineers. Knuckles complains that he thought for sure Porker could help repair the Chaos Chamber, and he despairs about ever getting all of the floating island systems back online. He says that he doesn't have any diagrams for the ancient equipment, he just guesses. He wishes that he could repair the island's force field, and he compliments the village they built here. Knuckles is told that a ship landed to the east of the village and goes to check it out, with Porker saying that his days as an adventurer are over because apparently the Metalik saga recently was too much for him. So he's completely succumbed to his cowardice. That's inspiring. What a great message. Way to go, you truly are the discount roader. At least Porker is presumably still making weapons instead of being a useless pacifist, I assume. But still, this cowardice came out of nowhere, and even Antoine never tried to retire from being an adventurer. The story ends with Captain Plunder asking Knuckles for a favor. In the next story, after Tantrum complains about how he fell into a pothole on Tails' watch, and I wish I knew how old he was so I could feel like his tantruming was more justified, his wailing creates a cave-in, which Tantrum inexplicably blames Tails for. At least Tails calls him out on it and looks annoyed. Why can't he ever look annoyed at Sonic? He then jinxes it by saying that they're at least safe from the bounty hunter down here. Gee, I wonder if he's gonna show up. Above ground, he decides to go into the pothole, and I guess I'll be able to catch up with them even though cave-in happened that should separate him from them completely. The bounty hunter uses an infrared heat scanner to track Tails down, and Tails and Tantrum walk along the narrow land bridge above lava that should really trick that heat scanner into giving false positives long after the heroes are gone. Tails says that this is the sort of place he'd expect badniks in, because it's already dangerous. Yeah, brilliant idea, Eggman. Put badniks in the most redundant of places. Predictably, a badnik shows up immediately. You know, the comic would be a lot less predictable if the writers learned to just make the characters shut up sometimes. He tells Tantrum that he's heading for a dead end, jumps over the badnik, and smirks, saying that he can deal with it in his own way, throwing the twisted around itself caterpillar into the lava in another moment of competence. Again, I wish Sonic could have seen that. I bet he'd never believe it if he heard about it. Wait, that bear is a mouse? I guess he is, but I thought he looked more like a teddy bear. And it's so forgettable that even when I was reading out this script for the review, I had completely forgotten that this bear was supposed to be a mouse. He says that the bridge collapsed and asks Tails to save him, with Tails flying over to him and calling him out on calling him useless earlier. The story ends with the heat making Tails too tired and dizzy to fly high enough, and Tantrum snarks, "I was right, you are useless." On the one hand, that's harsh and a really yank the dog's chain moment since he was just being useful. But on the other hand, I kind of understand that need to lash out at him because I'm disappointed in him too. You never saw Tails too tired to fly in Lava Reef Zone or Hilltop Zone. The first and third stories are by Lou Stringer. In the first story, Sonic and Johnny apparently get captured by robots on purpose to distract Eggman, while Amy deletes some weapon data on Eggman. My problem with this is that her arrow hitting the delete button on the keyboard clearly damages the computer and makes it explode. I guess they're exploding arrows, which you'd think would undo her progress because she wouldn't be able to save the file. The artist could have easily not drawn it that way and make me question her victory. At least she did get to do it after being captured. The second story, by Nigel Kitching, has Porker show an actual limit as an engineer by not being able to help fix the Chaos Chamber for Knuckles since it's beyond him. And then he shows a limit as a freedom fighter, as out of nowhere he succumbs to his cowardice and says he's retired from adventuring, which we'll only get to see in a later main story, so spoiler. Even though an adventurer like him should be able to adventure with ray guns and a force field generator to handle himself just fine. Also, Captain Plunder and his new crew get sent out of the sky by a ghost ship and land on the floating island, and he asks a favor out of Knuckles at the end. And the third story has Tails go after Tantrum in the underground tunnel, get trapped in there by a cave-in caused by his wailing while they're being tracked by the bounty hunter's heat scanner, and right after Tails defeats the badnik cleverly by making it twist around itself and push it into the lava, he becomes too tired and dizzy from the heat of the lava to fly and save Tantrum from falling. I wonder what Deus Ex Machina will save them after he was made to look useless again. I mean, heat waves can make you tired after a while, I get that, but still, Tantrum's line about him being useless, after all, was the real kicker. I'm convinced that the writers hate Tails. Why else would they portray him the way they do and make him as disrespected as he is? Though I might prefer that to him being a worshipped, smug Gary Stew under Contact and Graph. There's gotta be a middle ground here.